Question number 17 of the quadratic functions test review worksheet. Number 17 says complete the table of values below using this function. So when we're completing a table of values, we're just evaluating this function at these different x values. So show you the example of this to remind you of this. If we're going to find what f of x is equal to when x equals -1, you're going to write this: f of -1 is equal to, and then everywhere you see an x, you plug in -1. So -2 times -1 minus 1 squared plus 4. And you're going to go ahead and put that in your calculator. Let's go ahead and do that. So I've got -2, remember it's not -2, it's -2, then times -1 minus, use your minus key, 1. If you did -1, -1, the calculator is going to think you want to multiply those two numbers together. So it's -1, and then you subtract 1 from that. We're going to square that term, and then we're going to add plus 4 to that, and we've got the value -4. Now all you're going to do for each of these values is plug that in to your calculator and get those values. I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 more values in this table, and I'll put -4 here on this one, and then I'll let you go ahead and do the other ones on your own to verify you can finish this table. Question number 18, same thing. This was vertex form on 17, and 18 we are in standard form, but the same thing applies. Go ahead and take the t value and plug it into the function, and so you're evaluating the function where t equals 1 and figure out what h of t is. So in this case, h of 1 is equal to 1 squared. Notice I put that in parentheses so the calculator knows that I'm squaring a positive 1. And then this is 2 times 1 in parentheses, and then subtract 15. Put that in your calculator and you are going to get a -12. I'll give you 2 more values on this one. At -2, you should check this to make sure you're going to get this right. That is going to be -15. And I'll give you the value for 0, which is also -15. You should be able to figure out the other ones yourself. Make sure you are using parentheses. Now, I'm going to show you on number 17. I broke my rule on this one. I didn't plug in the first -1 in parentheses. Now, you could have done that. In fact, let me show you that. You could have put in -2 parentheses. That's part of our equation. And then parentheses, -1 close parentheses minus 1. You'd have gotten the same answer. I knew that I could take a shortcut and not put those in, but be careful of that, because if you don't put the parentheses in the right place here when you're plugging in the variable, when you get to the negative numbers, you're going to get wrong answers. So always plug your variable in parentheses when you plug it into an equation or a function. Alright, let's go to number 19. This is also in standard form. Again, you can go ahead and plug these in. I'll write one out for you. We're going to plug 0 into this equation, so y equals 3 times 0 squared minus 12 times 0 plus 12, and you're going to end up with the value +12. I'll give you 2 others here. You're going to get 3 when you plug in 1, and you're going to get 3 when you plug in 3. You go ahead and do the rest of them yourself. Alright, now the next section, questions 20 through 25. A lot of writing involved here. I'm going to give you part of the answers. You should already attempt these before you watch the video, so take a look at question number 20. Let me see if I can zoom in on this and take up a little less space. Let's see. Now that gets way too big. All right, question number 20, which says here, describe the effect that each parameter has on the graph of a parabola. So what does the sine of A do? Well, the sine of A determines the, and then I'm leaving this blank for those of you who choose to just copy what you see on the video. You lose all the ability for you to learn or recall what you've learned. For those of you who are actually spending the time listening to the video, if you didn't know how to answer this, the sine of A determines the direction. So the direction of the parabola is determined by the sine of A. So direction. A positive A opens up and a negative A opens down. So those words are direction, positive, and negative. Take a look at question number 22. What does the parameter h do? The h value shifts the parabola horizontally. Horizontally. Now remember, when we talk about the h value, we're talking about moving the graph left and right. A positive h shifts right, and a negative h shifts left. So the h value of the vertex form quadratic moves the parabola left and right. Take a look at number 21. I don't know why I did those out of order. Sorry about that. Number 21. What happens to the parabola when the absolute value of A is greater than 1, or the absolute value of A is between 0 and 1, or you can just say absolute value of A is less than 1. So here's my full answer. The absolute value of A determines the shape. So the A, the sine of A, tells us whether the parabola opens up or down. The absolute value of A, which is just the positive part of A, it's the value part of A without a sign, that determines the shape. Is it compressed or is it stretched? When the absolute value of A is greater than 1, there is a vertical stretch. When the absolute value of A is less than 1, there is a vertical compression. So stretch when absolute value of A is greater than 1, compression when the absolute value of A is less than 1, and of course when the absolute value of A is equal to 1, it's neither one of those. It's just the parent function, so it doesn't change the shape of the graph. Number 23. What does the parameter k do? The k value shifts the parabola vertically. So in this case, the k value is going to move your parabola up and down vertically. A positive k shifts up, and, sorry, that should be the word and a negative k shifts down. All right, question number 24. Here's the way you work these out. The question is, describe the shifts of the function f of x equals x minus 7 squared plus 11 compared to the parent graph of f of x equals x squared. So class, the best way to solve these is, this is vertex form. Identify a, h, and k. In this case, a is 1, h is 7, k is 11. And then let's go over what those parameters do. If a is equal to 1, this is just the parent function. It's the shape of the parent graph, and it opens up because it's positive. The h value equals 7, that shifts the graph 7 units to the right. And the k value being 11, that shifts the parabola up 11 units. So for your description, it can be all kinds of things. The way I wrote it is this. The parabola is shaped like the parent, it opens up, and it shifts right 7 units and up 11 units. Take a look at number 25. 25, describe the transformations of the function f of x equals negative x minus 5 squared minus 2 compared to the parent graph. Well, here let's identify a, h, and k again. A is negative 1, h is 5, k is negative 2. What do those things do? Well, the a equals negative 1. That's still the parent function, the parent shape, but now it opens down because a is negative. H equal to 5 means it shifts right 5. K equals negative 2, that means it shifts down 2. So my description was, the parabola is shaped like the parent, not sure where the top of that T went, shaped like the parent, opens down and shifts right 5 units and down 2 units. That gets us through the end of the first review sheet. We'll continue on with the next video and the review sheet number 2.